Guys, it's your average programmer here, and a friend of mine who recently wanted to start a career as a software engineer. He asked me what applications I use as a software engineer, and I thought I would answer that in this video. So my on my desktop I actually group most of my software engineering applications in a folder called developer tools, and in here I have my most used applications, and number one would be Visual Studio Code. The good thing about Visual Studio Code is that you can literally use it for any kind of application development, most kind of application development, and you install extensions to make it work in a way that helps your software development to be easy. And I usually use Visual Studio Code for regular web sites development with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And while you can use it for like Java, C Sharp, Python, I feel like even though Visual Studio Code is a jack of all trade, it's also a master of none. But then everything you get is for free. So that's number one, Visual Studio Code. Number two to me would be the terminal. So with most web frameworks these days, you have to use the command line interface. Like if you're developing for Angular, you use the Angular command line interface. If you're developing for Flutter, if you're doing things like your Git version control, you would be using your terminal. So number two is terminal. Number three for me personally is Webstorm. So Webstorm is kind of like, to me at least, it's like Visual Studio Code on steroids. And I find myself using Webstorm mostly for Angular development, React, JavaScript. It could be kind of an overkill for just a regular HTML and CSS page. But whenever frameworks are required, I use Webstorm. And the good thing about most IDEs these days, like Webstorm, is that terminal is integrated. So like if I go to this application I was working on, and well, you can see you can run the terminal directly in the application, and it's already in the required directory. So that's Webstorm number three. And for number four, I will group it into, I will group four applications together as my number four because it depends on your tech stack. So those four applications are IntelliJ IDEA for Java, Visual Studio for C Sharp, ASP.NET, PyCharm for Python, and PHP Storm for PHP, of course. All these applications are full IDEs specifically for the programming languages I mentioned. This is Visual Studio for Mac, I actually prefer the Visual Studio edition on Windows. It's more fully fledged, and I think if you're going to be doing any C sharp Windows development, you should be doing it on a PC. And even though ASP.NET Core is cross platform, I still think developing on a PC gives you a better experience. You can also build ASP.NET Core and ASP.NET MVC applications using Rider. So these four, Visual Studio, PHP Storm, IntelliJ IDEA, and PyCharm, would be my number four. And my number five right here is Google Chrome. So it's Google Chrome just helps me to immediately visualize my CSS, my JavaScript, my network request using like the developer tools. And I can show you an example just using my own personal website, and you can see that you can inspect things, you can change things on the fly, you can change things on the fly using the elements. You can see whatever errors are on your page, even write code right here. You can see your request and response here. You can check your application storage, like your local storage and your session storage. So that's Google Chrome, and I think every web developer uses Google Chrome. And my number six would be for mobile application developers, and those I grouped two together, which is the Android Studio and Xcode. So Xcode, of course, you use it for iOS development, and Android Studio you use for Android development. You can also do Android development using IntelliJ IDEA, but I prefer Android Studio. Here's the funny thing about Xcode. So recently I've been learning Flutter, and I've been writing a few applications in Flutter, which I write those applications with IntelliJ IDEA. But to run your applications with an iOS simulator, it still requires Xcode. So, but of course, you have to be on a Mac to use Xcode. And then number seven for me, and finally, is any database GUI tool. An example is the MySQL Workbench. I have SQL Pro for Microsoft SQL Server here too. Table Plus is cross platform. Lift Lite is for SQLite, and if you are on a PC Windows, you can download SQL Server Management Studio. So there it is. Those are the tools I use most for software development. If you have any questions, add them in the comment section below, and I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe to this video. A quick note, some of these applications are not free, especially PHP Storm, Webstorm, Rider, IntelliJ, and PyCharm. But you can get them with a student account for free. And I think IntelliJ has a free version, but the free version doesn't give you all the required features. And then you can also pay for the entire suite or pay for whichever application you need. Thank you for watching.